Step by step, I will become a champion. The pirate is here.
Hey, this dude who's fighting, who's out of Dagestan, who has one eye, who they just brought to the UFC, this middleweight, you know about him? No.
And this absolute freak inbred is like, not on my watch, brother.
Next fight, inshallah, I'm knockout.
One of his eyes doesn't appear to work or, operate with the other one, and it makes him look quite scary.
Shara Magomedov, a 29-year-old middleweight fighting out of Moscow, Russia. Although he's gained more widespread notoriety since his debut at UFC 294, little is still known about this mysterious fighter. Hailing from the Dagestani Republic in Russia, one would be forgiven for believing that he's cut from the same cloth as others from the region, being a skilled wrestler and grappler. Yet Shara has brought a different skill set to the octagon since his sanctioned debut in December 2017.
I got the recipe, never gonna let any op get the best of me. Thought it was distance, but hey, this is next to me. Talk to the spirit, you know I've been heavenly. Company definitely show your trajectory. This ain't a diss cause I say it respectfully. It's time to eat.
As you can see, his striking capabilities are exceptional, delivering significant power with pinpointed accuracy. His roots as a boxer from the age of 13 are evident, and his transition into Muay Thai is all too apparent when witnessing his devastating head kicks. The creativity underpinning much of his offensive routine is obvious, especially when examining his fights within the Russian MMA leagues. With what can be ultimately described as a Dagestani takeover in the UFC through utilizing Sambo wrestling techniques, it is refreshing to witness one who actively seeks to stand and trade. This flair was there for all to see at UFC 294, granted his takedown defense did appear shaky in periods. But, for this video, I want to uncover the true Shara Magomedov, the mystery, intrigue and dark side of this promising prospect.
Извините, пожалуйста, скажите, пожалуйста, почему ты не подписан на канал? Также поставь лайк моему русскому.
Terrifying. Looks like someone out of the cliffs have eyes, if you know what I'm saying.
Very few people would have still fought. At one eye, that's usually the price where most people are not willing to pay anymore.
His opponents believe that he can't see with his affected eye and attempt to exploit this.
Michael Bisping is big motivation me.
The rumour mill consistently swirls around Magomedov's right eye, but there is a significant degree of mystery surrounding how it came about and whether he can effectively see through it. The Dagestani initially suffered an eye injury during a sparring incident in Thailand, which required 8 surgeries to be performed on it. In an interview with Athletistic, he described his eye as being tortured throughout, with syringes being persistently inserted into them. Unfortunately, this kept him out of the ring for close to 3 years. The reports concerning the amount of vision the eye has are admittedly conflicting. Some state that he's fully blind on that side, whilst others state it's simply impaired. Obviously, the fighter himself is unlikely to be truthful in his own assessment, as this could hand a major advantage to opponents.
How did you get to the point where you're fighting GSP? Like, how did you pass this test?
With great difficulty. Lying, cheating, bullshit codes. I fucking lied to so many doctors.
How can he pass the commission with one eye? I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're letting guys because Bisping did it.
It's common knowledge that Bisping was forced to cheat his way into the octagon after he was rendered totally blind in his right eye. Consequently, many have wondered as to how Shara Magomedov will pass the rigorous eyesight testing procedures. Well, firstly, UFC 294 was staged in Abu Dhabi, where the regulations are likely to be less stringent than other places. Yet, I doubt that the Vegas Athletic Commission will approve Shara if his right eye fails to meet the requirements. After all, they refuse to sanction a one-eyed power slapper. He's obviously been signed by the UFC, so he may just avoid fighting in the States altogether.
I
Dana White shared a video before your fight. It looks like you were sharpening your elbow on some machinery. I'm curious how you filmed that.
Yeah, my elbows are very sharp. My elbows are very strong. My elbows are made to put as much damage as possible to my opponents. You saw the way my elbow was working this last fight.
Можешь локти сейчас показать свои, сколько ударов нанес сегодня? Если начать выглядеть.
Вы видели, как я их точил? Не зря заточенный подход, чтобы вонзиться в их лица.
Shara has been labelled as a Bond villain, and his antics often corroborate this notion. The elbow sharpening video has caused a stir online, with some believing it could work in making the elbow more lethal and pointing to some of his finishes as evidence. Others view it as complete baloney. Although it's not possible to sharpen bone like you do with metal, there are ways in which bones can be hardened and refined. Muay Thai fighters frequently hit pine, oak wood, or even coconuts for long periods. Considering Shara's Thai background, he may have been doing this behind the scenes.
For daring to peck your girlfriend on the cheek in front of me, because I'm the Karen of the cliff. Falls on his back, Sharabutstin ends up on top, lands a couple shots on the guy, starts framing up to try and kick the dude in the head and stomp on him. That's not the end of it. Look at this freak again. The Abomination, after tapping and the dude lets go, rage at him.
For all his plaudits in the fighting sphere, Magomedov has an abundance of critics regarding his actions outside of the octagon. One particularly shocking ordeal showed Shara getting into a physical altercation in a shopping centre in Dagestan, having been annoyed at an individual kissing his own girlfriend on the escalator. He then proceeded to wait for him outside of the building before sucker punching him and stomping on his head. The fighter then sought to justify his actions on a podcast.
Человек знает, и он принципиально, специально так делает, вот показать, вот я вот такой, я вот могу, да?
Оппозиция ехала.
Да, потому что он видел, я иду сзади с бородой, такой говорит, иду, знает, где находится, знает, что у нас такое не принято. И только эскалатор закончился, он так отдернулся, эту ногу назад, и такая дистанция для правого, короче, такого кроссового.
Personally, I can perhaps understand that PDA isn't appropriate in certain countries, especially in a Muslim region. The guy did lash out first, throwing the first punch also, but Shara is a trained MMA fighter, so he could have done far more to avoid that situation, and his sucker punch is blatantly inexcusable and frankly cowardly. This act has understandably tainted his image in the eyes of many fight fans. A clip has also emerged in relation to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition which Shara was involved in. The Polish opponent grabbed Shara's leg before getting him in a heel hook. Shara then lost his balance and proceeded to tap. Suddenly, the Russian jumped to his feet and stood over the pole as though he was about to maul him. He then booted him before walking off. Shara later stated that the two fighters had a deal regarding no heel hooks beforehand. I got on top of him before he set up for a leg lock. I then thought, you lying scumbag, so I got a bit angry and kicked him in the butt. An outburst such as this is problematic. It underlines that Shara struggles to keep his emotions in check and can fly off the handle at any point. Aggression can be a great tool in a fight, yet it can also derail a fighter's game plan and cause them to lose concentration. It also conveys an impression of a lack of respect towards other fighters, decreasing his popularity across the board. But what do you guys think of this talented yet flawed Dagestani? Let me know in the comments. He could certainly have the attributes to make it to the summit of the middleweight division, but his erratic nature and uncontrollable temper could ultimately spark his downfall. Only time shall tell.